Hello everyone. So today I'm going to go over a stock that's more of a common stock. I guess when you say it's a stock that everyone should know about, but a lot of people don't. And it does carry a really good dividend. It's basically around 4 to 5% on the dividend. And it's really consistent. Obviously it's one of those stocks that it doesn't really fluctuate too much. It did, many years ago, but now it's really stabilized. It's been a strong stock. I'll show you some of the charts here in a second, but since about 1991, 1989, somewhere in that range. So a long history on this stock as well. And actually the name of the stock is Duke Energy. It's DUK. So I'm going to go ahead and show you why I like that stock and what it's all about. So stay tuned here. I'm only going to spend about 5 or 6 minutes and I'll show you why I like it. And anyways, if you guys are watching this video, I made a video a couple weeks ago about a tool that you can actually use to see the risk of a stock. And if you punch in this stock, it's going to be pretty stable. You can actually punch in different stocks and it'll basically give you a relative risk of the stock versus other stocks. It can't predict the future, but it can only predict, look at the past really. So go ahead and take a look at that video. But anyways, go ahead and watch the rest of this. So one thing I want to tell everyone is I'm not telling anyone to buy this stock. Everyone has to do their own research with stocks. If you follow something that you saw on YouTube, you're probably going to lose money. I can just tell you that right now. This is a stock that I like only because of its history. Again, I can't predict the future on it, so I have no idea what it's going to do in the future. I'm just telling you what it's done in the past. It's a stock that I like to actually bring to people in case they overlooked it or something like that, because it does, it's been a pretty strong contender for a long time. So, but again, don't go out and buy this stock based off of what I said. I'm not a professional investor. I just happen to invest in a lot of these type of companies. But at the same time, you have to do your own research. You have to have your own strategy built out. So if you go ahead and just invest in things on YouTube, you're going to probably end up losing money. All right, so let's take a look and see what this stock's all about. Again, do your own research. I'm not recommending this, but go ahead and take a look and let me know what you think. So Duke Energy, obviously, here it is up here. The symbol is DUK, Duke Energy Corporation. Stock's currently at $90.23, and it's obviously had a good run. I'm basically going back a month here. It was down to 84, somewhere in that range. Dividend was a little bit higher, and it's gotten up to about 90 in a month. So, that's obviously 6 to 7-8% increase over the last month. That's not typical of this stock. This stock typically grows really, really slow, but it's pretty consistent. It has some dips every once in a while, but it seems to come back twice as strong. So anyways, if you look at this, the market cap is 64 and some change $billion, so it's a pretty big company. Currently, the dividend yield here is 4.11%, so 4.11%. This is actually typically anywhere from 4 to 5%. I've seen it as high as 5. It depends on the price of the stock. If the stock goes down, that usually creeps up a little bit, so keep that in mind. Very consistent monthly dividend also. So anyways, I go back and I want to look at the max here, just to kind of show you guys what this stock did. Way back in 1979, so that's, what is that, that's almost 40 years, 39 years, 40 years ago. The stock was around $8.35. Obviously, a lot of things have happened since then, and you've had some of these, obviously big collapses, and then it comes back, comes back. But over the last, since, obviously the collapse of 2008, it didn't go down too bad, although you would have lost, 30-40% of your money. But it's been going up solidly, so I'm expecting one of these little dips coming up here shortly as well. So, but obviously, again, the dividend will go up when you get those dips, and if you just stay with it, it's a stock that seems like it consistently is growing. So take a look at this chart. It's pretty impressive, and it's a giant company that invests in energy. All right, so here's another page that you can take a look at, and it's basically from MarketWatch. I like to use this. Now, this one isn't as impressive. I mean, obviously, if we go back and we do the all-time, it's going to show the very similar uptrend in the stock, since this is only going back to January of 2002. It only goes back that far, but you could see before it went back a lot further than that. Long story short, here's the impressive rise, but basically, I like to use this. Down here under MarketWatch, there's this analyst estimate. Not that this is going to be the best thing you can always look at. I mean, it's never, exactly a correct science here. In fact, a lot of times they're wrong. But it does say it's an average recommendation of hold. So if you look at this, though, the hold is obviously very strong. And then there's more buys than there are sells. So there might be a little bit of room in this stock. I think it's going to probably stay around here, maybe drop a little bit, and then come back maybe in the next year or two a little bit higher. Again, you're getting that 4 to 5% dividend. That's what I'm usually getting. And then obviously that slow creep up. So this is a tool that I like to use. It's called, again, it's on MarketWatch, and it's the analyst estimate, and it's going to estimate all these different things on stocks, but it's going to show you, how many investors looked at this. This is basically 13, 14, 15, 20 people looked at this, and, the majority said hold. It's a little bit weighted on the buy side, and there's a few that say sell, and you can use that tool with your own discretion, but it's something just to help you with your investing. And then finally, I want to show you this chart. I made a video on this a couple days ago, so go ahead and look for it. It's under the NASDAQ risk assessment tool, and it should be under my videos, maybe 2 or 3 videos ago. And you can actually put in different stocks here and see the relative risk they are compared to other stocks. Again, it's not going to give you the risk moving forward. It's going to give you the relativity of the risk versus other stocks that are similar to it, and it only can look backwards. But with that said, if you put in Duke, which I did here, you can see here that Duke comes in at 82. The NASDAQ is actually at 97 risk. And then I put in Verizon just as an example, which is 98. And then you have the S&P at 81. So it's slightly lower than Duke. And then the NDX is 111. So you can see that this is a fairly stable stock. And this is looking at a lot of the past history and trying to predict the future, which is not always the best way to go about doing things. You can never tell if a CEO is going to have a problem or something, or some kind of company scandal is going to bring something down. But over the long haul, with the amount of money that they have, this seems like a pretty solid stock. And again, this is another tool you can use. Check out one of my other videos. You'll see all about this tool. A couple of the things to look at is just, this is headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina, just so you know. And then basically you have about 28,798 employees in 2016. So it's a major, huge company. $22.74 billion in 2016. And they have a bunch of these other side companies like Piedmont Natural Gas, Progress Energy Inc., and there's a bunch of them. So keep that in mind that it's not just Duke Energy. It's made up of a whole bunch of other smaller companies as well. And again, I'm giving you a very simplistic look at this company and how to invest and how to pick investments. I don't just go looking at the charts and then make a decision based off of that, or look at the dividend and do that. You have to dive a little bit deeper. So I'm not showing you all those things. You have to do your own research there. But I am showing you why, this might be a good stock if it's right for you. But again, it's completely up to you. So take everything here with a grain of salt and do your own research. So a couple of reasons I like this stock is, number one is going to be the strong dividend. You always get that 4 to 5% dividend, every year, and it's paid quarterly. So that's a good, depending on how much money you have on that, it's a good chunk of change that can come in on a quarterly basis. The other thing is it's been very consistent as far as the pricing. It's it maybe takes 2 steps down, but then it takes 3 steps up. So it's been slowly gaining. And it's been a good investment for many years now, so I like it because of that reason as well. It's also a very strong energy company. It's got a lot of revenue, and it's got a lot, in the billions, obviously, and it's a really big company. And you always need energy, so that's one thing. When it comes to energy, obviously we have solar and we have things like that right now. But basically, those things, while they come in, these are the companies that are actually going to probably be funding them. So while you might lose a little bit of oil in the future, you're definitely going to gain some on solar and things like that. But these are the companies that are investing. They actually have side projects going on right now. So keep that in mind. I'm not too worried. Obviously this is not a stock that can be something like, like a Sears or some kind of a store that'll go out of business overnight. This is a pretty big stock, pretty big company, and it's very stable. So, but again, all stocks have huge risks when you invest in stocks. So just keep that in mind. I'm not telling you to buy anything. You got to make your own decisions. So these are stocks very similar to like an Apple or like a Dell. They always give you those histories where if you invested $10,000 in this stock in 1991, what will it be worth today? It would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, so with splits and things like that. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, again, it's not going to, that was a time of huge growth, through the 90s and the early 2000s. Just keep that in mind. That's probably never going to be replicated again, at least, maybe not in our lifetime. So just take it with a grain of salt, but it is a good stock to invest in based off the past numbers. Is it for the future? It's totally unknown. You have to do your full research. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. If everyone could subscribe to my channel, that would help me out a ton. I want to get my subscribers up so I can make more of these. I will see you next week, and remember, my channel is about tech, and it's also about investing. You need money to buy tech, so it's basically part of both of those. So I'm going to do tech reviews, and then also helping with investing, credit cards. Check out some of my other videos. I have a tool that will actually show you the risk on stocks, and I also have some other things like how to get a free trip to Hawaii. So go ahead and keep watching, and I'll see you next week.